Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast YouTube channel. My name is Samaria, and I'm joined by my best friend and co-host Miosha. And today we're reviewing Married at First Sight season 16, episode 4, which
Hmm.
was a short episode for what reason we don't know. But they literally said it's off now.
We're
But
done.
before we get into today's review, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We review every single week, so make sure you are here, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up.
All
All
right.
right. So, yeah, what did you think about this episode being cut randomly? Like,
Well, because I was so tired, I was like, yes, thank God it's over. Because it was kind of uneventful. I'm just ready to get to the honeymoon, get it popping. Let's
yeah,
see more of their interactions.
yeah,
But at the same time, I thought like, whoa, did something happen to my iPad? Like, what's going on here? The
yeah.
the ending just was so abrupt. So I don't know. I was thankful, but I was like, okay, I want more. But then
Yeah,
we find out that only four of the couples made it to the honeymoon. So maybe that's why.
maybe that's why, but I feel like the episodes they need to be cutting are the wedding episodes and the bridal shopping episodes. Like that's what we don't want to see. But at least they could have given us like farther into the honeymoon or
Mm-hmm.
something, you know. But
Yeah. We'll see.
anyway, so let's start with Gina and Clint. I didn't have too much on them. They're pretty I don't want to say pretty boring
Yeah.
couple, but so far.
Yeah, pretty uneventful, which I think last week I mentioned that Gina said that on the after party that she wasn't attracted to him. And then this episode, she is like, oh, he's super sexy, all that kissing. She seems to be really into him. He's definitely into her. He said that he's attracted, but then the preview for next week, it seems like she's talking about his appearance again and maybe not being as into it. So,
Yeah.
Gina
So
girl, you're all over the
he
place.
she specifically said he's a 12 out of 10. And I was like, we must not be looking at the same Clint, but that's just me. And not to say he's like a bad looking man. I just wouldn't go with a 12 out of 10. Like, that's a lot. So I thought it was interesting too because of what she said on the after party. But maybe, in the beginning when they're still trying to be nice, they're like laying it on super thick or, just to make sure they don't show up like Alyssa from that one season. So maybe that's what it
True.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. She did bring up her work again, but she didn't go too deep on it. She just said that she's trying to have more balance. And the whole time I was thinking, okay, now, Gina, that's it. Don't say no more.
Don't say no more. I think Clint. So just going to the time they had with each other's families, I feel
Hmm.
like Gina mentioned the type of guy that she usually goes for physically not being him,
Yeah,
and
tall, dark, and handsome, like dark
yeah,
hair, I think.
yeah. So there were already like hints toward that, but then she had commented on him being super sexy, so I was confused by that. But I think Clint is a talker in the sense that he's
Mhm.
really laying it on thick. Everything that he thinks should be said, he's saying. And I don't know that he's doing it maliciously. I think it's just what you think people would say in this situation. So you're saying it. And so
Mhm.
I can't wait for reality to hit because it's giving very cliche at the moment. And I want to see how he reacts to actual life happening.
Cliche, and he seems to be really hot in the pants, which for me,
You
at
sound like
his
an old woman, really hot in
I,
the
I
pants.
guess I am. I mean, well, for his age, just how quickly he's ready to get it popping. He's talked about how many partners he's had. That's none of my business. He put it out there,
Hmm.
so it's like, okay, you've had your fun. This is supposed to be the time to build something real.
Yeah,
So I'm not saying that he shouldn't want to be intimate with her, but that did seem to be a significant focus in
yeah.
the energy he had that night.
Maybe too significant. Yeah,
Yeah.
for his age, you would just expect a more mature approach that isn't all physical, I think. And so that's what's throwing it off a bit.
Hmm. I agree. One thing that when Clint was with Gina's people,
Mhm.
they said, oh, they're so similar that they'll have to find ways to learn from each other.
Mm.
I'm not getting that they're that similar.
There must have been a lot more to the conversation because I feel like they were
Okay.
one of the shorter conversations. Like I feel like we
Okay.
blinked and they were off the off the
Yeah.
camera. So there wasn't much that I gathered from their sit down with the families.
Mm-mm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how similar they are.
Yeah.
Mm,
They
okay.
they could be in that they're older and maybe they're both headstrong. Who knows? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll find out. The only other thing I said was, "Girl, are these the flags for the Bahamas?" I feel like Jamaica has one of the most recognizable flags of all
Oh,
flags.
of all flags. I
Yeah,
mean, did she not watch the Olympics the last 4 times?
I just feel like I don't know, but we run in different circles, so that could be that. But I feel like everybody knows Jamaica's flag.
And the Bahamas flag is pretty popular too. Given how close it is to the States, I don't know.
I don't
Uh,
know,
okay,
but yeah,
girl.
that was funny to me. Anyway, we could move on to the next pair.
Yeah, that's all I had. Okay.
Okay. Nicole and Chris.
I feel like the energy that they're giving is what we hope to have in at least one couple each season,
Okay.
where they seem to be really in on the process. There is some apprehension there on Nicole's part so
Mhm.
far, but I think even with her intensity, I feel like this is the energy that we want to see.
Okay.
Very open, not too stringent on, oh, they need to look like this, act like that. Just being in a receiving energy of like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm just taking you in.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been loving about them so far. Nicole does ask, it has been asking 1,000,001 questions though.
Honestly, I'm a Nicole. Maybe not at this pace, but I do have all the questions, and I want to know. Like I want you to just expose your bare soul to me. I want all the details, so I
Mm-hmm.
can know who I'm working with and if I even want to commit. But in her case, she's already committed, so maybe that intensifies it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I said that his compliments on her beauty were really sweet, and I liked her reaction. He almost overdid it a little bit. And like at
Mm.
certain points, I was like, okay, now Chris, but I understand being in that lovey-dovey season and just wanting to shower her, and maybe he's going off of her reaction to it and really enjoying
Mm-hmm.
that. So he's like, I need to lay it on even
Mm-hmm.
thicker because I like how she's reacting to it. But what did you think about his family saying he gets consumed with his relationships? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So what that tells me maybe is that the energy that he's giving for Nicole is just how he gives in relationships, period.
Mm.
Whether it's reciprocal, there's attraction there or not, it just seems that he's yearning to be in a relationship, uplift the person. He's a giver.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's necessarily concerning for me because, at least with them two, because she seems to be a giver, maybe not to his level,
Yeah.
but it seems like she's been yearning for that energy as well, that she hasn't had that where it's maybe been the opposite.
Mhm.
So I'm not concerned with it. I will acknowledge though they did have a good point. Like, hey, if you're not in, say that
Yes.
sooner rather than later. But at the same time, I don't want her to feel like, like when you're with someone and they're all in and they're so excited, you don't want to crush them. So
Mhm.
that in itself could make you delay having certain conversations
Hmm.
because you already know that they're very intense and they're all in. So I understood the conversation they were having.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do think that that does add more pressure to her as she's going through this process of like, okay, am I in? Am I
Mhm.
not? I don't want to
Okay.
break this person because the brother, I forget how he said it, but he alluded to like this could crush him.
I didn't see it as putting on more pressure. I felt like maybe that should take off a little bit of the pressure. Like if you don't see this going anywhere, don't hesitate to have that conversation because it's better to have it up front than later. So I appreciated that they said that because I feel like we've seen season after season, sometimes people drag it out for the sake
Oh
of the
yeah.
process, and we can all tell it's not working. We can all tell this isn't your person, and that's why you're clashing with them. So I appreciated that they said that. She said that she wants to have her life and she would encourage him to have his. And I liked that she said that. I think the parents or the family maybe found it a little bit interesting that she would say that, and they were like, "Oh, is she
It
not
was the
as
mom.
committed?" Yeah, yeah, because
Hmm.
she was like, it's a respect thing, right? And nobody says it's a respect thing, right? When they 100% agree with the statement you've just made. So I liked it though.
Yeah, she's protecting her son in that, if he expressed that, hey, I don't want you out like that or whatever, that she'll maybe meet in the middle or find a way to
Mhm.
respect it. But you still have to maintain your own individual lives, social
Yes,
lives, family, friends. So
yeah.
I see both sides.
And just because you don't have one, that doesn't mean I shouldn't have one. And Nicole, especially as seriously as she's taking the process, I don't think she would take advantage of that. And so I appreciated her saying I would encourage him to get some business of his own because, I still want to hang out with my friends and I can prioritize my relationship and still see my friends. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah. What else on them?
I mean, other than, Nicole, she's also ready to get it popping too. But I feel like with the energy that they've both been giving, it
Mhm.
wasn't off putting to me.
Okay.
They seem to be having deeper conversations. Like Nicole is asking a lot of questions. They're getting deeper. I'm not saying that the timing is right, but
It's
it
still
wasn't
3
as
days.
it is still 3 days, but it wasn't as off-putting
Okay,
as Clint.
as Clint. Okay, I can understand that. I
Yeah.
How did you feel about Clint talking about his ex? So they both shared about their past relationships. And okay, so when it comes to Nicole, I understand why she's all gung ho about Chris and this process because if you come from that,
Hmm.
what she described, that is super traumatic, to have a person who sees how much you care about them and just like toy with you and degrade you in a lot of ways. So I wholeheartedly, even more than before, hope that this works out for Nicole because if that was your starting point, I don't know where to go from there.
Yeah, and I don't know the order of the conversation, but that also could be while he was reassuring her and complimenting her. And yeah, I don't know. I Something about Clint, it's just
Chris.
not. Oh, Chris?
Yeah,
You
Nicole's book?
mentioned Clint earlier, bringing up his
No.
ex.
No, Chris talking
Oh,
about
okay,
his
so you
ex.
meant
I
Chris,
said
okay.
Clint, my bad.
Yeah, it's fine. But I was gonna say something about him doesn't seem genuine with the stories that he's brought up so far. Um, but I was okay with Chris being vulnerable because as she said, sometimes as women, like, we're very open about our past and what we've been through. And
Mhm,
for men, it could be like pulling teeth to be like, okay, so where you been? What
mhm.
happened to you? Like, let's
Yeah.
share and be open. So I was okay with that, and
Okay.
it felt sincere. So,
I'm okay with him telling that story. I would just want to see how much more X or if we get more X stories just because it was so negative. But I don't know. I'm probably reading
I
too much
mean,
into
she said that all her exes were terrible too. So
it. I thought she only had one X, but
no, the ex she mentioned with the cigarette story, she said was from a long time ago. It was like one of her first relationships.
okay, okay.
But when he was like, "Well, what stories do you have?" She's like, "Well, which one?" Like, there a
Mhm.
lot of them have been bad.
Yeah.
Um, and then I don't know, the time with he was with, I guess, her family, the
Mhm.
dad was kind of coming for him.
Okay, I had to take back everything I said last week. Like, oh, he did it so respectfully. This, that. Listen, he came out with the claws this time.
Yeah, maybe he was just trying to keep it cute for the wedding.
Probably, but I think Chris handled it as well as you can expect. With this type of thing, only time will tell. You know?
Yeah, he told me something. Oh, you could be a serial killer or
Yeah.
not. I'm
Yeah,
like,
serial
okay.
killers are usually nice too. How you know? You know a serial killer or two? Like, do tell. But yeah, it's like only time will tell. So I respect the families asking their questions, but also somebody could give bad answers and be the best partner to your family member and vice versa.
Save that energy for your family member who signed up for this.
Okay.
Anyways.
Dominique
Okay.
and Mack.
Yep, that was all I had.
Okay, yeah. This episode I feel like we're breezing through because it was so brief.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dominique and Mac, they were getting cozy, which I guess it's their wedding night,
It's
but
it's still a
it
odd,
feels odd.
cozy
Yeah,
energy. Like, yeah, they're kissing, yeah, but I don't know. Some seem off about it.
it felt very. It was interesting. So Dominique says she catches and cooks her own catfish, and she expects the same from him. Like he looked a little more bougie than that, so I
He
don't know if you
looked
can expect it.
he looked put off like, who eating catfish? I ain't eating
Catfish, right?
catfish. I'm eating cod, sea bass, salmon, catfish.
Right. Those bottom feeders.
I don't know. I get wanting your spouse to participate in the things that you love, but I don't know. It's like, girl, this process, once again, you should have been more specific. If you wanted an outdoorsy man,
Yeah,
then you should have said that. But people present themselves to be more open than they actually are.
to
But
get on the show. So last week there was a lot of feedback about his parents or his mom. And apparently one of his family members was in the comments like, first of all, we're not from the South, we're from Flint, Michigan. And there was more to that conversation that you saw with her mom than they aired. So I just want to put out there that somebody, an anonymous family member, keeps commenting on things saying what we saw isn't the full story, so people shouldn't comment on the mom in that way.
yeah, but the follow-up energy in this episode
Was
confirmed,
still
I feel
heavy.
like, what we saw in the last episode.
They just don't want her to come off as racist, to which, yeah.
I don't even know that it's so much her coming across as racist or just
Mhm.
being rude to your new daughter-in-law as well. Like, I don't know what she is, but her energy is giving rude
You think so?
regardless. I
I
think
think
so.
it's a step below rude. Like, it's not quite rude
Mm,
yet, but it's definitely not warm. But Dominique was on
mm,
the after party and she said that, she asked for her number at the end of brunch. And so she's like, his mom is actually nice. And,
mm,
she wasn't even the one talking most of the time at the brunch. It was the sister and somebody else, or the friend and
mm.
somebody else. It was two
Maybe it's a
people.
bad edit. We'll give her that for now.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was the one who offered $50,000 so that he wouldn't get married. So it's already like,
And it's okay. Is it that this just isn't the process you want him to go through?
yeah.
You wanted him to have a more traditional route. And I get all of that, but save the energy for your family member, not the other person.
So they asked at the end of the brunch, oh, what if he considered moving back to Michigan? And I thought that was an interesting thing to ask someone who met and married him yesterday. Because one thing about families is they'll be asking these hypotheticals, but they don't necessarily know what the person's goals are. Kind of like how
Mhm.
Shaq was saying, you know, I am viewed a certain way in my family, but they don't know all the ins and outs of me. And so I thought it was interesting that his family asked, "Oh, what if he wanted to move back to Michigan?" First of all, I don't know. My life is in Tennessee. We just met each other. Don't even know how well we're going to hit it off. We're both connected to this, committed to this process, and we will see. Like, her life is in Nashville. What if she wanted him to stay? So I don't love those questions being posed to women because it makes it seem like the woman always has to move with the man, and with career opportunities nowadays, I don't think that should be the way that we always look at things. That's just
Yeah. One, how do we know he wants to move back to Flint?
at all.
Where it's, they got their own problems and it's freezing cold half the year. And he picked up and moved.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, that didn't make sense for them to be asking her that. It'd be one thing if maybe they met in Flint, she moved, and then he moved, but he picked up and moved already. And I also feel like it puts Dom in the position where she may feel like, okay, even if he does express, I want to move back, they're already coming at me with this question.
Yeah.
If we ultimately decide to say it's because of me and I'm the problem.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yeah. I think it should be a thing where if he's considering moving in the future, there's a conversation like, okay, well, you have a wife, so you need to consult with her. You can't just decide, I want to move back to Michigan. Like, you have a partner to consult at this point. So
it
why is that
it
even a question?
it was one of those gotcha questions,
Mm.
she agrees and she's ultimately kind of putting herself in a position where she's agreed to something that she hasn't fully thought out
Yeah.
just to like keep the peace. But if she says no, it's like, oh, she doesn't want you around your family. That's where all your family, that's where your support system is. It's like, girl, bye. So
Yeah,
say
I
it.
didn't love that question. I didn't get the point of it at this stage. So
So
that's
let's talk about McKinley with Dom's family.
okay.
The grandma, she's so sweet and so cute. But don't be trying to make the girls seem desperate out here
Yeah.
for McKinley. That's not the energy we're giving these days, grandma. No one's beating these men's door down.
Not at 25, at least. Like, dang.
No. And so the question about, okay, have you ever dated a black girl? Are you open to it? What's your experience been like? I'm over this already.
Really?
I am. Because what I don't understand and what's not making sense to me is if she's had certain, it seems like she's had certain experiences in the past, maybe
Okay.
interracially dating or being a biracial woman. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But if that is such a point, then one, why sign up for this process where you're not able to pick not just their race, but their dating background up front?
Hmm.
That doesn't make sense to me. So I don't like how they're making it a big point now when one, you probably shouldn't have signed up in the first place. And two, you shouldn't have maybe been so open about, I'm open to anything and anyone. Um,
You
I
know,
don't know.
so Dominique spoke about this on the after party, and she was saying her mom has had conversations with Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal, and she said it was kind of a, okay, I'm giving you my baby, take care of her. These are the things that she needs and all of that. And when she said that, I immediately thought, well, they did not take care of her at all. This is not gonna end well. Like, whatever they were trying to do, I don't think it's gonna work.
Okay, assuming she had that conversation, maybe
Mhm.
a part of that was the racial background dating experience, but then he goes on to say like, oh, I've dated black girls but haven't had that experience. I
Or
would
a
all
serious relation. He hasn't dated black girls seriously.
seriously, but then also I was thinking, I'm not sure how she presented herself in the application process, and I could see where, I don't know if she said like, hey, I'm a black woman, I'm a mixed race woman. And I don't know if maybe the experts were thinking because she's mixed, that doesn't necessarily put her in the category of him dating a black woman before. So I don't know if maybe there was even some confusion there about like her background, her experiences, how that lines up with what he's dated in the past. Or more, maybe they saw the commonality of like, okay, they do share a shared lineage, I guess, on one side of her family. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I want to talk about him complaining about this middle seat on the free trip that that he has. So apparently, we saw him complaining about the middle seat, about him being too close to the bathrooms. And I'm just like, did you pay a dime for this flight? Oh no. Okay, you just want to complain. And so Dominique said that he was pretty upset about the middle seat. So when they got off the first flight, he was trying to like upgrade them to first class and accidentally canceled their flight to Jamaica. And so, yeah. And so they ended up not, they ended up getting back on the plane, but she was sitting in one place and he was sitting in another because he was very determined not to get the middle seat again. So I thought that was
Mm.
really interesting, but I I guess I
I-
get it. The middle
Is
seat
he
sucks.
tall, like over 6 feet? Or
I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know.
I mean, I understand like
Could
why
be.
like bigger people,
Yeah.
like why they it's just like really uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
But hearing that he ended up canceling the flight, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
So
Mhm.
that was interesting. I don't have too much more on them because they didn't give us much more in this episode. So
He did say that he was very attracted to her.
yeah,
He found her to be very beautiful, and he still seems to be open to seeing where things go.
she still
So,
seems open at this point too.
yeah, she said she wasn't nervous at all.
Yeah, she did say that. Okay.
Okay.
Kirsten and Shaq.
Okay.
All right. So it was interesting when he pulled her. I need to stop saying interesting. But when he took her over the threshold, I'm like, he was struggling a little bit, wasn't he?
I mean, she kind of thick.
He was struggling a little bit. But Kirsten said that their wedding was everything. So when they were sitting there, it looked like she was sitting on his lap, which
She
was
was.
okay. So she said that their wedding was everything. They enjoyed dancing together. And I enjoyed watching them dance. I thought that was like one of the cutest parts of the wedding.
Mhm.
And he said, I'm coming in wanting it to work. And I loved that. I was like, yes, Shaq,
Mhm.
we want it to work for you.
Yeah, he has the right energy too
Hmm.
for this process. He said he was speechless when she walked down the aisle and she sighed.
Miosha. Do you feel like she's coming around? I feel like she's coming
I
around a
think
little.
she's giving mixed energy. I think
I
in
think
the begin
so.
Yeah, I think in the beginning of the episode where she was talking about the wedding and just like the good time they had, how the families had time, I think it seemed like she was coming around. But I think when he started to express just about how beautiful she was and what it was like for him, you
Okay.
could tell he was waiting for a response from her.
Okay.
And then he says, "Well, what was that? Like,
Hmm.
say more." And then she says, "Oh, well, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. I'm just, taking it all in." Okay.
I I really want her to come around, and I think she is. I think she's at the very least settling into the process and
Mm.
liking him. I don't know if it's going to be a friendship like, but I do think that she's starting to warm up to him. Uh
Yeah,
he did ask for a kiss.
he sure did. And she sure said no.
She said he going to have to wait.
He said he respects it. He
But
respects the boundaries. I mean,
some people are like that. Do I think she could have given him at least a peck or a kiss on the cheek? Maybe. But I think sometimes people just have their own pace. And even though you're thrown into this situation, that doesn't mean that your pace, you're not becoming a completely different person. So maybe that's her pace. And now she's just bringing that pace here. Even like lying next to someone different or someone new would be an adjustment for me. So I want to at this stage, I am allowed to change my mind if something happens that makes me have to. But at this time, I think she's just trying to go at a pace that she's comfortable with, and I want to give
mm.
her the space to do that.
She's going at this pace because she's not that attracted to him. Now, I'm not saying if she was that she would be like all
Yeah.
over him and doing the most. I don't get that vibe from her either. But this pace is being set because she's not attracted to him because of the age thing, because of the looks, as far as the bald head. So I just want to put that out there. I agree. She has her pace that she's comfortable with, but it's also being set because she's warming up
Mhm.
because I think of his personality and other qualities that he has. He's a very likable person. You could
Yeah.
just tell. he has good energy. So she's like, okay, I think I could do this. Can I? But that doesn't mean I'm going to kiss you. I think she also likes the chase of it too. But that's
Oh,
just,
probably. But I mean, we've seen people on this show like that. Someone mentioned like Deanna and Greg because it took Deanna some time to warm up. But yeah, I think people's pace is just people's pace. I don't know that I would put them up to be the next Deanna and Greg, but
mhm.
I at least want to see how it plays out. So I'm not going to be too tough on her about not kissing him yet. Yeah, that's just
Mm.
how I feel about it. If I change my mind, I change my mind. But yeah, I'm glad he asked though, because now she can't say, "Oh, well, he never asked," and that was why. That's
He
out.
asked because the friends
Friends
told
told
him.
him.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. Mm.
Okay. So she she said they spent the whole night up talking.
Mhm.
She brought up concerns about his schedule. I think this was when she sat down with his family,
Mhm.
but she brought up concerns about his schedule and him making time, which I think if that's the worst thing that she found out after their whole night of talking, then that's pretty good. And
Mhm.
hopefully he can adjust. And I agreed with her not wanting to be too understanding and too supportive, because once you set the tone that, oh, no matter what your schedule is, or no matter how little time you spend with me, I will support you, or I will be understanding. And so I think she recognizes the balance of, I'm supportive, but I also have my own needs and we need to figure that out. So I thought
Yeah,
that
I
was,
think he'll adjust because
I
you're
think
going
so
from being
too.
single to having a whole spouse. So, yeah.
I think so too. But just like getting a PhD kind of just has its own demand. So sometimes even when you want to
But he's at
adjust,
the end, right?
it's hard. No, he's not at the end.
I thought
So
he said
from
he
what he
was
said,
at the
he
end.
he was at the end of coursework, but there's
Oh,
like
I thought he
for
said
my
he was in his
program, the end
last
of,
year.
yeah, he said I'm finishing coursework next week, and if his program is anything like mine, that's just
Mm.
2 out of 5 years,
Mm.
So, but his everybody's program is different, but he would still have like exams and a dissertation to write from my,
Mm.
if it's similar to my program. But yeah, all right. So him sitting down with her friends and family.
Mhm.
I don't know.
And sister, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and him saying he didn't seek out this opportunity, it kind of just fell in his lap. Do you
Mm.
understand their concerns with that, or do you agree with their concerns with that?
Well, I feel like their energy overall is very intense.
Oh,
And I
okay.
think that they think that he's too polished. And so I feel no matter what he says at this point, they're like, we still don't know you.
Mhm.
So I think they feel like his answer was just too well put together. Um, maybe he didn't answer the way that they thought that he should have. I think what he was trying to say was, I kept seeing signs that
Mhm.
this is the route I should take. Not literally like, oh, it fell in my lap, but it kept reappearing. And okay, I signed up. Oh, wait, I got picked. And so that's how I took it. Like, I've been praying about this, maybe asking God to show me what direction I need to take. And I kept seeing these signs. I signed up and I got picked, and here I am. So
Mhm.
that's how I took it. I didn't see a problem with it.
I can take it like that too. I also understand their concern though. Like, if this wasn't something you were actively seeking out and now you're here, we just want to make sure you're as committed as someone who would have been actively seeking it out. Especially if my cousin or my sister was actively seeking something out and I know what that looks like for her. I don't know that I would want her to just be with someone who's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I can do this now because I saw a sign of it. Not to downplay his signs, because I can relate to that, but I can understand their concern for sure, because all they know is the amount of energy she's put into it. All they know is how badly she wants it. And so if I wanted a marriage really bad and I went through these like took these big steps to get to it, and you were meeting with my future spouse and he's like, oh yeah, it wasn't really something I was thinking about, and then a few things just led me to do it, and now I'm here. I think you would have concerns too.
So just correct me if I'm wrong though. He was saying that he saw the signs like, oh, this is a process I could sign up for to
Mhm.
help me find a spouse. But he wasn't like handpicked on social media. Like he still had to apply and go through the process.
Even if you are selected from social media, you still have to apply and go through the process. From
Right.
my
So I
understanding.
guess the point I'm making is I, I don't see that big of a difference between, hey, I saw this sign, like, oh, this is a process that could help me with this,
Mhm,
and her being like, oh, I'm at a place where I realize I really need help with
mhm.
finding my future spouse if they both had to go through the process. The same way that I don't see it any like even Dom's mom signing her up, like that's more concerning for me than him being like, oh, I saw this sign, because I'm also thinking about things that he's said so far and how he's presenting himself. So maybe I'm a little bit biased
I think so.
in
Me too.
like, okay, well, he's not giving me like catfish energy or anything weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like overall they just kind of came intense, and even the sister, I guess for me, which what I didn't understand was I understand questioning the person,
Mhm.
wanting to get to know them, but this your sister and your friend has already expressed, and y'all know how picky she is, that like, hey, I maybe am not that into him. I don't really know. And so the way that they were coming for him, I was just like, y'all are giving him a lot of intense energy for someone who is already on the fence about if this is something that they would really want long term anyways. So I
Hmm.
don't know. If she was like, "Oh, I'm really into him. This is like I'm so excited," which I think she is. But if it were you and you were like, "Oh, I'm not really that attracted to him. He's not the right age or whatever," I wouldn't get in front of this man and be coming for him like that, because even me coming for him like that doesn't guarantee that you're all in on the process, and then
Mhm.
I look silly.
Well, that's for his family to handle. They could have
Which,
grilled her too.
yeah, I feel like they let her off pretty easy, but
No, yeah, but I will say I don't get that vibe from Shaquille either. But we know more about him than they do, and so I can understand how, as a family, hearing the way that he said things or whatever could, I don't want to say be alarming. I think alarming would be a stretch, but could lead you to probe a little bit more and be like, okay, so I know this was easy for you and it fell into your lap, but is that why you're doing it? Because it might not be easy in the future. So I need to know you're committed. And when things aren't falling into your lap, that you are still committed. So,
yeah, I think what's just as alarming is her lack of attraction so far. So, like I get it, but she's already a big maybe as
okay.
is.
Big
So,
maybe energy. What
yeah,
was it that she
big maybe.
said is a weakness that both of them can work on? There was something that she said
About them being strong and not really revealing much of themselves to their
to
family,
their families.
making it
That's
seem
right.
like they have it all put together. I enjoyed that moment
I did
between
too.
them. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. And one thing, I think it was was it the sister? She said like, "Oh, she maybe will be a hard shell at first, but you're going to have to keep trying." And I would understand that if she hadn't expressed the lack of attraction, because what I don't want to happen is for this man to be on a hamster wheel, jumping through all these hoops for her, and she's not you already have two strikes
Yeah.
that you have no control over anyways,
And the goalpost keeps moving.
and the goalpost keeps moving.
Yeah.
So the sister or cousin, whoever it was, saying that, plus her lack of attraction. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't try to hold him to certain things that he's saying. It's just if I know where my family member or friend already stands, I just wouldn't be coming that hard.
whether he stands there or not, there is still an 8-week process of being married, and he is still a husband. So I don't know. I don't know what I would do in this situation. I would still ask the questions just really nicely because I'm a nice person.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, okay, so they went to Jackson, Mississippi instead of Jamaica. They went to the wrong J, but he had to present research, and I think she took it as well as anyone could expect. She was like, "Are you serious?" I thought it was a joke too. I thought he was gonna be like, "Oh, psych, it's not happening," but apparently, he really had to go and present his research.
Yeah, I mean, any woman would have been disappointed. Like, really, we're missing a whole day of our honeymoon. But what did she say? Like, oh, you're gonna have to make it up to me. You're gonna have to make it up to me. So not only is this man got two sharks, but he already got to make it up to you.
Yosha, you
Mm.
wouldn't feel like he had to make it up to you. Of course, it's out of his control, but I didn't take what she said to heart. Like, you are the reason I'm missing Jamaica right now. So make sure I have a good time.
I would maybe understand if, like, I don't know, if it were something else. I'd be.
Yosha.
I mean, these things happen. Like I said, I would understand if it were something like stupid that he did. Then I'd be like, really?
Somebody said at least he didn't catch COVID because in the Houston season, somebody did catch COVID. And
So like something like that, like you were out here being reckless and it sabotage the trip.
I
Not
still
this is like, oh, a big thing that you have to do. And if this is my spouse, I'm like, oh, we have a whole lot ahead of us. I don't know. I just
Yosha, you are not thinking that when you sign up for a married at first sight process where a honeymoon is a big part of the process. I
take another trip. I don't okay.
Yeah, I wish we could just put Miyosha into this process because she would not be doing this. But okay, so she goes and she's in the hotel room, and some people on Twitter were saying, I'm sure he wanted her to be there while he was presenting, not in the hotel room. But depending on how the conference works, like a lot of these conferences you have to pay for to go to. So if you don't pay and you don't have your badge, you probably aren't getting in. So
Mm,
that could explain why she was in the hotel room and not actually watching him present his research.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I
yes.
mean, in this crazy process, girl, it's the least of your worries. Uh,
Okay. Do you have anything else on them before we go to Jasmine, Eris, and
mm,
Felina? Because
mm-mm.
she's a member, she's a part of this marriage. She's the third wheel.
Gosh. Okay.
Okay. So honeymoon night. I said, okay, Eris is sounding like a 40-year-old man because he was like, I'm tired. I'm hoping she don't want to do nothing. I mean, if she wants to, I could muster up some energy. I was like, okay, there goes the 40 coming out because he doesn't look it, but he's sounding like it.
Oh, definitely. And maybe that's why he said what he said the few episodes ago. Like, well, whatever she want to do, she could do because he knew he was gonna be. He
Oh,
already knew.
oh man. He was
Mm-mm.
talking all that get on your knees talking. You don't even have the stamina. But he did clap when she came out. So I guess he perked up because she was in her
Oh, he set up so fast.
right.
He's
I was
like,
like,
"Oh, this
weren't
what
you
time we on?"
tired?
She did look really cute. Yeah,
It did look really cute. It
yeah,
was cute.
yeah.
Okay, what do you think about his sit down with Jasmine's family? I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I feel like they had the right energy you should have. Like, yeah, you're asking questions, but it's
Mhm.
just not doing too much because it's a crazy process on both sides.
Yeah.
I like when her dad said, "Yeah, hey, I'm counting on you." Like
Mhm.
I'm handing my baby girl over to you and not literally, but to me that sent the message of like, hey, there are expectations, there's accountability there.
Yes.
I'm gonna say it in a respectful way, but I am counting on you to do what you
Yeah.
need to do.
It
To me, that's a very mature way of saying what you need to say without doing too much.
Yeah. It was really sweet. He was on the after party and he said that he called his friend after that brunch and was like, okay, her family's like really normal and he really liked them. But one thing that the family pointed out was, oh, you're an only child, so you didn't have any siblings, which is kind of the first round of learning how to have relationships with people, is like having siblings. So I think the dad says something about, oh, so you might be coming in at a disadvantage because you're not used to, you know, having other people in your space, or not fighting for the shower, but kind of like you want to get ready, but there's another person there, and working through those things. And I think that was a pretty good point, especially if you're in a family that wasn't intentional about getting you around other people, which I don't know if that's his background, but I thought that was a good point that the dad made.
I think the point hits home more because of his dating experience, maybe up into this point. So not just that you're an only child, because he's 40, so he's been out of the house longer than he's been in the house. So he may have missed that, but I think by his age, a lot of people may have even had children, lived with a person, have more long-term serious relationships. So I think, I don't know, for me, it's not just that he's an only child. I think it's also his dating experience up until this point as well.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. But I do think what the dad was saying was just like, that's kind of like, for a lot of people, the first interaction that you have.
Yeah.
And maybe it stuck out to me because I could definitely say that the sibling who I was in the home with at the same time has had a huge impact on how I like handle conflict. And it really was,
Mm,
for me, that kind of first base of how to live with or be around other people. But I
mm,
agree with you that he could have had other partners, but it seems like he has just been himself
mhm. Yeah.
this whole time, his whole life. So no siblings, no
Or even
serious
you go to college, you
relationships.
have a roommate, or after college you have a roommate. Like
Yeah,
there are other ways that you learn, like interacting and dealing, because even living with a sibling is very different than living with a significant other and a parent. Like there, it's
interesting.
similar, like it's your base, but there's a lot of life that's lived. So for me, it's like the culmination. Even did he say like his mom still does his laundry, I think?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So it's kind of like all of it. And then also this overbearing cousin. It's just like, yeah, it's all of it.
Oh man,
Because
yeah.
I don't want to come across as if like, oh, if you're an only child and you have like these disadvantages of like future relationships going forward. I think it's different, but I think most people, definitely by the time you get in your 30s and 40s, you've had hopefully other experiences to fill in certain dynamics. And then every sibling relationship is different. So
Yeah, I think if you are in I think if a parent is intentional about like how they introduce their kids to other like children or their teenager or whatever. So I think parenting has a role to play in it, but like you said, college and life
mhm.
after that. But then for the people who do have siblings, I do think it's a huge opportunity for that. Again, you can have a sibling who's 12 years older than you, and then y'all don't ever interact, so you have a sibling, but really you were raised as an only child. So I don't want to say what's the point of that sibling, but it doesn't give you the opportunity that someone else would have had living in a household. So yeah, just different experiences, but it stuck out to me, probably like I said, because that was and heavily like is my experience.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, so we talked about him and her family. Let's go ahead and talk about her and his family. The mom was sweet. She hugged her as soon as she sat down. Like she was so excited to hug Jasmine, which I thought was
Mhm.
so nice.
Yeah. If only the cousin was.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. I get that maybe they were raised together, but
Mhm.
her energy is very intense, off-putting. And I don't think there was anything about what Jasmine said that seemed too curated or too put together. She seemed genuine.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, she just kept saying, "Oh, well, this process is crazy," and I don't know. It's just,
I I thought it was interesting that when they said something about what do you think about your cousin's wife, and she
oh
like
yeah.
hysterically laughed. I was like, girl, you're doing a lot. Like, there's no need.
She's like, "Wife? Oh, he has
It's
a
just
wife."
funny. It's just funny because you said wife. What else were they supposed to say? They got married yesterday. Like, what do you expect? So I thought that was extra and not in a good way.
Mm-mm.
Um, it's like, okay, girl, like we get it. You think it's crazy. You don't care that she's the wife, whatever, like so he said
Oh,
that. Oh,
one thing I wanted to add too, I
yeah.
feel like she's using Jasmine being a part of the pageantry world
Yeah.
against her. And
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't. I don't like because nothing about what we've seen of her, even the way her energy, the way she presents, like she doesn't seem snooty or like I'm better than you. My head is in the air and hi.
At
Like
all.
she's not giving that energy. Honestly, if I saw her, I wouldn't even know
Hmm.
that, oh, she's in the pageantry world. She just
Yeah.
doesn't carry herself that way. She dresses like a normal person. She's not walking around in a crown.
And she's really cool. Like her personality so far
Yeah.
is very homegirl, like
Yeah.
very,
Clearly
very
she's
chill.
real chill and laid back because she got 13 dogs.
She doesn't have 13 dogs. I think she tweeted something. She's like, y'all are crazy if y'all think I'm living with 13 dogs in my house. And so I was like, sis wants us to back down. I'm backing down. You ain't gonna hear me say
Oh,
nothing about those
I
dogs.
didn't know she tweeted about it. I just know he counted up, you know, from what we saw
Yeah.
last week. So yeah,
I saw it on
I
the Married at First Sight fan page.
I don't feel like the cousins should be holding that against her. Like, oh, they always know the right things to say, and basically they're fake.
Yeah, and she's like, so she asked her if she was done with the relationship because she just broke up with someone 7 months ago, which, yeah, I guess that is still within the same year. So it feels like it's soon, but I liked her answer. And the other person who was sitting there really liked her answer too until Felina, I think I called her Fallon last week, but
So when I said Felina, you were like,
you
I
said something else.
oh,
You said
really?
Felina?
Oh,
I'm not going to go back and watch. So
y'all
whatever you
tell me.
said.
What did I say? I thought I said Felina, or did I say Felita?
I thought you said Felicia, but I really don't remember.
Oh, I thought I said Felita. But then they were calling her Val.
Val,
Foul. Okay.
but the closed caption kept saying Val.
Okay. I'm so confused about this girl's name.
Okay, her name is Felina. So I liked her answer where she was like, before you break up, you already broken up, pretty much. Like
Hmm.
you just need to have the conversation at that point. But I thought that was a fair thing to say. But she's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, you're a pageant sister, okay?" And like, what does that even have to do with anything? So yeah, I didn't like her coming for her that way either.
Big
It's giving
hater energy.
bully. But
Yeah.
yes, it's giving bully at
It's
this point.
not giving genuinely concerned cousin. It's giving big hater.
So I found out that they are related. Apparently, on the second after show, he said that his mom and her dad are siblings. So I guess
Mm. First
they're like
cousins.
3 months apart. So they are actually cousins. But I just can't think of myself doing this to any of my cousins. So it's just probably her personality. But I put that Jasmine is very understanding
Hmm.
because after the brunch and the way that she kept coming for her and didn't even give her a smile, didn't give her, any good energy. She was very respectful. And when she went back, she reported what happened, but she wasn't like dragging his cousin. And I think she could have. It's okay, Jasmine, we'll drag her for you. No, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna drag her. But yeah, I think she could have said more than she said, but she just kind of accepted it. It is what it is at this point. I'm just gonna have to move forward. And I thought she handled it very well.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that that was really the only way she could handle it
Hmm.
because they're what 2 days in.
Yeah.
She doesn't know him, how he's gonna respond.
Yeah.
this woman is actually family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the way she handled it, I did see some people being like, oh, she would have got told off real nicely, or I would have told him everything. But 2 days in with someone's family, it's a tightrope. You're not gonna be able
Yeah.
to do it. Yes, I feel like either you say something very in the middle, politically correct, like she did,
Yeah.
or you say nothing at all and you give it time.
Yeah.
Situations like that, you almost need her to kind of show her behind in front of him and then address it. But
Yeah, I did put down because I agree with you. I think that was really like what can she do at this point? But I do hope that she's vocal with him about it. You know how sometimes that you obviously can't go off on your husband's family. I mean, some people do, but it's not the path that I would take. So like I wouldn't go off on his family, but I would want to have the space to be vocal with him about it and be like,
eventually,
yeah, yeah, not after
yeah,
2 days, but
yeah.
yeah, to say, hey, she keeps doing this. Is there a conversation you can have with her? Because it's hurting my feelings a little bit and she doesn't need to be coming at me like that. So I hope that over time she realizes that she doesn't have to stay mute about it, that he creates an environment where she's comfortable enough to say, my feelings are hurt by this.
Yeah. What did you think about him getting in the tub and wanting to be fed grapes?
Listen, if she like it, I love it. I didn't think anything of it because she didn't think anything of it, but when it happened, I was like, I could definitely see how that could go a different way. But I think people do that or do things like that for their spouses. It's just that they just met each other, so that's why I would be on edge. Like, no,
It's
I'm gonna have to feed you
giving
grapes. You got
it's
hands.
giving big cater to you energy
Mhm.
combined with the comment he made last week, the grapes, and then fast forward to the whole like breakfast thing where like he was just like, I'm gonna just lay here and be comfortable. Like she wanna be comfortable under the covers too. You can't get up and get it. I don't know. It's the combination of it all.
I feel like a conversation will need to be had at some point. Like, okay, I understand you want to be treated like a king, but I just met you, and I too would like the royal treatment. So I definitely peeped it. As soon as it happened, I was like, oh well, she received that well because I don't know that I would after 2 days.
What would you have said?
Honestly, I when it comes to serving in any kind of way, I don't care how long it's been. I'm always like I do tense up about it because I
Hmm.
want to make sure there's an understanding. Okay, I'm doing this because I like you and because I want to be
Hmm.
nice, but I don't know that I want it to be your expectation. Like I don't know that I want you to expect me to always serve in this way. I want you to always see it as, oh, she's so sweet and she's doing this for me,
Mm.
you know?
It's
So
the
I
attitude.
I have my own stuff that I have to work around, when it comes to
Yeah.
that. But I don't want to project it onto her. Like I said, she felt like it was fine. So
Yeah. Then we saw he's also hot in the pants too for the honeymoon, ready
yeah.
to get it popping. And we see the preview for next week.
Right. Not that I'm surprised based on last week's episode. I still have my eye on him, but so far I like their vibe together. I just want to make sure Jasmine's voice isn't lost, but so far he seems cool. She seems cool. Like when he said, okay, I won't leave you since I got pre-check, like he was
Hmm.
like, I'll take you with me because you my wife or something he said. But I like their vibe so far, but I can see I can see where in order for this to work, Jasmine might have to give more than I would want her to. So I hope I'm wrong and I hope that he can deliver his part of it so that she's not the only one who's just like giving, giving, giving. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So last week you said, and we need to wrap it up. I'm just looking at the time, but now I just
Yeah.
have questions. You were like how you were unsure if like where his attraction was
with
to
her.
her.
Mm-hmm.
He said this week that he was very thankful for her and seemed to be really into her. So are
Yeah.
you still feeling the same way, or?
I'm not feeling that. I'm not necessarily feeling that way, especially after she came out in the robe and how I've seen them operate together. Maybe it was the dog thing that,
He was so thrown off.
just threw everything off. But last week I really did question whether or not he was attracted to her. But it was a question mark. And I don't know that it's completely cleared up, but I'm liking how they're settling into each other so far.
Okay. We
So
shall see.
yes. All right. That's it for us this week. We have a brand new podcast episode coming out tomorrow. If you want to catch one of our podcast episodes, there are several of them on our YouTube, but all of them are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. So we have over 70 of them. So definitely check those out. And we'll see you guys next week. Let us know how you guys feel about everything. The only child, what were the big things we covered? The only child, the Kirsten liking Shaquille,
how the family was coming for him.
Eris's, yeah, Eris's
Yeah,
cousin. Let us know how
yeah, the
y'all feel about everything.
cousin. And McKinley's mom. Are
Yes,
we being too hard on her? Y'all let us know.
let us know. All right, y'all, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.